Welcome back to United Case Report. Family cases are always the hardest, because when the person who wronged you shares your blood, the wound goes so much deeper than any courtroom can measure. Today's case involves a grandmother and a granddaughter. One of them spent a lifetime building credit, paying her bills, and doing everything right. The other spent 8 months destroying all of it, and she did it from inside the family home. This is identity theft, and the perpetrator was 19 years old. Meet Helen, 71, a retired school librarian from Missouri. A quiet woman, a careful woman, a woman who clipped coupons, paid her mortgage off early, and maintained a credit score she was quietly proud of. In her words, "I did things the hard way because that was the right way." Helen's granddaughter, we'll call her Brianna, had moved in with Helen at 18 after a falling out with her parents. Helen, being the kind of woman she was, welcomed her without hesitation. She gave Brianna the spare room, home-cooked meals, and a safe place to figure herself out. She trusted Brianna completely. She left documents around the house freely. Bills on the counter, mail on the kitchen table, a filing cabinet in the office that was never locked because, Helen said, "I never thought I'd need to lock it." She was family. Over the course of 8 months, Brianna used Helen's personal information, her social security number, date of birth, and account numbers, to open 7 credit cards in Helen's name. She applied online, had the cards sent to a P.O. box she had rented, and began spending: clothing, concert tickets, electronics, restaurant meals, a weekend getaway. She paid the minimum balance on each card for the first 2 months to keep them active, then stopped paying entirely. By the time Helen discovered what had happened, the total fraudulent debt was $23,400. Helen discovered it when she tried to refinance her home, and the loan officer told her, very gently, that her credit score had collapsed. From 791 to 519, she went home and opened the filing cabinet. The copy of her Social Security card, which she kept in a folder for reference, was gone. Brianna denied it initially. Then, faced with account application records that included her own email address and IP address, she admitted it. She said she had planned to pay it all back. She said she didn't think Helen would ever find out. She said she was sorry. Helen had her removed from the home and filed both a police report and a civil lawsuit for the full $23. $400 plus the costs of credit restoration services, which she had already begun at a cost of $2,800. Criminal charges were filed separately. In civil court, Brianna, who had no significant assets, appeared without an attorney. Brianna arrived in court looking genuinely remorseful. She was young. She looked like someone who was beginning to understand the full weight of what she had done. She told Judge Judy that she had been struggling financially, that she didn't have a job, that she had panicked. Judge Judy listened to all of it. Then she said, "How long did you live with your grandmother before you started opening cards in her name?" Brianna said, "About 2 months." Judge Judy said, "So she gave you a home, she fed you, she asked nothing from you, and after 2 months of her generosity, you started stealing her identity." Brianna said, "I know it was wrong. Judge Judy said, "You didn't think she'd find out. That's what you said, isn't it?" Brianna nodded. Judge Judy said, "So it wasn't a moment of desperation. It was a plan. You planned to steal from your grandmother, and you planned to get away with it." Brianna had no response. Judge Judy turned to Helen, who had been sitting quietly with her hands folded. She said, "How are you doing?" Helen said, "I'm managing. It's been hard, more emotionally than financially. Though it's been hard financially too. She was my granddaughter. I loved her. I still love her. That doesn't change. But love doesn't mean I let her do this." Judge Judy said very quietly, "No, it doesn't. Full judgment for Helen. $25,200. The total debt plus restoration costs." The judge also noted that since Brianna had no current assets, the judgment would follow her. It could be renewed and collected against any future income or assets she accumulated. She said, "Your grandmother sat in that chair and told this court she still loves you. That is not a small thing. That is an extraordinary thing. And I genuinely hope, that one day you understand what kind of woman she is, and what kind of woman you chose not to be." Helen's credit was eventually restored. It took 14 months and cost significantly more than the $2,800 she had paid to begin the process. The emotional cost, she said in an interview after the case, was harder to recover from than the financial one. "I kept asking myself what I'd missed. What I'd done wrong. Was I too trusting? Should I have asked more questions? And then I realized, the problem wasn't that I trusted her too much. The problem was that she chose to betray that trust. Those are two completely different things. And I refused to make her betrayal into my fault. That right there is wisdom. Painful, hard-won, 71-year-old wisdom. Lock your filing cabinets. Not because your family is untrustworthy, but because if they ever choose to be, your protection is not cruelty. It's just common sense. This has been United Case Report. Subscribe for daily cases and comment below. Do you think Brianna deserved a harsher punishment? Let us know. See you in the next case.